what did everyone think about posts and comments? Was it? Go ahead.
Oh, I thought it was fairly simple. You know, there's a few things that we still had to look up, but I got a pretty good handle on it. So.
Yep. So over the course of the next several challenges, we're slowly going to be building in a little more functionality of a Django app, but it's pretty much the entire process is pretty much a repetitive process. It's like create a URL, create a view, create a template, create a URL, create a view, create a template, create, like just pretty much on repeat. Now there obviously is a little more to it, but that's just kind of like what we want to get you into is just that routine of like, okay, what's the next task? And it's kind of just like URL, view, and template. So with that, just want to kind of go down here. So we're doing apps. And this is just a quick overview of the request response cycle of Django. So again, we come into this web server gateway interface. You don't really need to touch this. You don't even really need to know what it is. Just essentially turns HTTP requests into Python objects. Goes to our URLs, which acts as our router. Goes into our views py file which handles all the business logic, which is kind of like where we get data from the database, where we just want to do some data manipulations, and then we want to send it off to our HTML templates, which just handles all the presentation, the presentation layer, and just handles any presentation logic, whether like if it uses Bootstrap, etc. And once it comes into the views, we can determine whether or not we want to get stuff from the database. So that's where we interact with our models py file. And then after it comes through our templates, it passes it off to the actual as an HTTP response. Does anybody have any questions about that cycle? So kind of just like how I mentioned, create a route in our URLs, create our view, create our template, and then kind of repeat that with whatever route we need. All right. So with that, we'll jump into posts and comments. So I've got my posts and comments here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There's nothing in here. It's just an empty README file, clear. I'm going to create a new branch. I'm going to create this application off of the master branch because you're not supposed to work directly on master. So I can do git checkout -b. I can do Tom's solution. There I went from the master branch to the Tom solution branch. Clear. So the first thing I need to do, what is the first thing I need to do in order to start a Django project? Anybody?
Do you want to activate first? Or
so create a virtual environment and activate it. So Python make venv. So it just created a new virtual environment right there. It's still creating it. Great. Now, as you said, Jason, I need to activate it. So I can do source venv, which is the name of my virtual environment, then activate. I'm gonna clear it. So now I'm in my virtual environment. There's nothing in here. It's in its own little bubble. So now I have to pip install Django. Do we want to use the Postgres database or just use the SQLite database? What do you guys want to do? It's not a right or wrong answer. I was just
SQLite.
Sure. What's that?
Default is
Postgres?
You want me to, okay. Yeah, I'll actually do the Postgres database because it's just good to get in that routine of creating Postgres database.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that was the wrong answer.
I want to create it. I was just curious.
Oh, it's that let your people think that they're having an influence on decisions. And
I was just waiting for someone to say Postgres database, and someone said it. I was like, yes.
Oh, it was a while loop.
Yep. Wow. well, Postgres.
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead, Dan.
Here, wouldn't it, I mean, for me, just trying to keep things at one level. So at this point here, we're doing pip install Django. We're also going to have to install Django extensions. Well, we don't have to, but it's ideal. So I would have just done all my pip installs that I need on one line if possible. But
Yep, you're 100% right. So since we are going to be using, a Postgres database, I can sitecob G2, Django. I'm actually delete this and just clear the screen so it's a little more pip install sitecob G2. And this is specific, the sitecob G2 is specifically to interact with the Postgres database. If you were just utilizing your SQLite database, you would not need to install this. I'm going to install Django Extension.
I have a
Looks,
quick
looks
question.
misspelled.
You got a cob, like corn cob. Is it cob?
Is it cop G2?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I wanted to ask another question.
Yep.
Normally when I always get this error, it says unable to import to Django.db. Is that because I haven't installed the sitecob G2 or?
Unable to, yeah, I'm not quite sure. Probably have to take a look at that specific
Okay.
error. Yep. Install Django extensions. And I'm also just going to install IPython just to have a more pretty Python interpreter. Pip install sitecob G2 because we're going to be using a Postgres database, Django extensions because we want additional functionality for Django, and IPython to have that Python interpreter be a little more functionality. As this is installing, great. Come on. All right, it says this pip install upgrade. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that for right now. So hopefully nothing breaks when I'm doing this. All right, cool. So I've got my virtual environment. I've got all the necessary libraries installed at the moment. Now I need to go ahead and create my project called posts and comments. So the command for that is Django-admin. Start project or create project. What is it again?
start project.
Start project. And I'll do posts and underscore comments. And since I don't want, because I already have a post and comments directory here, I don't want to have another post and comments directory and then another one. I'm going to do post and comments, period, which created my posts and comments right here. And it also has this manage.py file at this same level. So I'm in here, got my virtual environment, my manage.py file. Now I need to start my app. What is my app going to be called? Does it say what I need to call it? Looks like maybe posts. What should we call it? What did people call their app? I just call it
Posts
posts. Okay, we can call it posts.
or blog.
You called it blog? Yeah, I think in one of mine I usually call it blog, but I'll keep it at posts right now. So posts and comments. So how do I create a new Django app? What's the command for it? Jose? Jose, what's
Yeah, Python manager start app.
okay, start app followed by the name of it. So let's call it posts. All right. So I've got posts and comments, which is my Django project, and within that, and then I've got my post app. So what's the next step in this process?
You want to link the app to the project.
Okay, so I need, yep, exactly. I need to link the app posts to the Django project. And I do that through the project's settings file in here. So I can call posts, and then I'll also want to
Django extensions.
extensions. Thank you. I'm going to put a little comma there for the next person that comes along, so I don't have to put it. And then, since we are using Postgres, let's first actually create a Postgres database. So, in order to create a database, create DB, call it posts and comments. All right, that looks great. I can PSQL posts and comments. There we go. We have our posts and comments database created. Now we have to add that to our Django database configuration in our settings file. So we're not going to be using the SQLite 3 or a SQLite file. We're going to be using a Postgres. And then the name of the database, it is posts and comments. All fine and dandy. All right. Now,
Tom,
yep.
a quick kind of theoretical question on that is it just like it is very confusing to me to have all different folders with the same name, a database with the same name, and all that. I mean, is presumably you're doing it that way because that's the convention, right? You just get used to it, or
It's not necessarily the convention. It's just the way I'm doing it. Like ideally, what we are creating is kind of like a blog. So I could call my app a blog app. As far as the database, I just call it so I know in my local machine that this posts and comments database belongs to this challenge. But I could call it like production or testing database.
okay, so we should not be hesitant to use names that resonate well with us. We should do that. There's no kind of industry convention that would be breaking.
No, not really. As long as you know like what the specific app does. So right, we're calling it posts, but like ideally it'd be like a blog app or WordPress or something like that.
Right.
And then it's likewise with the database. I'm not quite sure if there's a specific naming convention for a database. I just it's usually like, or your production database might just be called production database or production. And your testing would be like testing database or a staging database for your staging. If you have multiple databases, like your testing for QA, and then you have your staging environment, which is essentially another database. It's just like multiple layers. So there isn't necessarily a convention for like naming this database posts and comments. It could be called something else.
Okay, roger that. Thanks.
Yep. So, all right. We created posts, app. We linked them both. Linked our Django app to our installed apps. And then we also added our Postgres database to here. Now, what do we need to do? Let's go down here. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was gonna say while I'm in that file tree folder section, I like to kind of work one section at a time. So while we're in what we just moved, okay, we're in the settings there. The next thing that I'd edit would be the urls.py
All right.
from the main thing, and at that point there, we would need to add or put a comma after path on your imports, and then put include. So,
all right.
So it would be comma space include.
So we're adding a new URL. So we can do boot, and then we can call it posts. It doesn't have to be called post. We can call it blog or Tom's blog, but let's just keep it as post right now. And then in here, this is where we use the include method that we just imported from here. And this includes posts.urls. right? Is that what you're saying, Dan?
Yes, but since we haven't created that, it's a good time to go down to our terminal and go ahead and touch the file.
In our posts. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to run the server and see what happens. I just want to kind of Python manage.py run server to run the server. It says, oh no, no module named post URLs. So, okay. So there we go. We have an error. Clear that. And as Dan said, let's go in here. I'm just going to do it from the Explorer, add urls.py. And in here, I need to pretty much copy what's from right there. Instead of having this admin, I can include patterns. And then we want to, so we created our first URL at our Django project level, goes to posts, comes into here. So when I enter, when it goes to posts, it says include all the URLs in the posts app URLs file. So it goes posts app, which is right here. And then that first, it's an empty string, which is just the first backslash. So if it goes to posts / nothing, it'll come in here. And in here, what do we need to add? Oh, shoot. Oh, where'd it go? Did I close that file? So we create our URLs. Now we got to go into reviews. We actually haven't created this URL yet. So what do we add here?
The views.index, and then we can give it a name.
Views.index. All right. And the name, because we might want a named route, index.html. Then from period import views. All right. So let's try to run this. Run server, might break something. Cool. No post views, has no attribute index. So now I have to go into my views and actually write something here. So I can, in my view, I can do def index, takes in a request. And then let's just return HTTP response. These are posts. And I need to, from Django.http, import HTTP response. I just want to get that down. Okay, so everything's running right now. Now I can actually go to localhost 8000 and nothing happens. Why didn't anything happen?
You need to add the /post at the end of.
All right. So here it says using the URL config to find and post in comments. Django tried these URL patterns in this order: admin, and then posts. The empty path didn't match any of these, so these are the available URLs. So posts, and now here we go. These are posts. Cool. But I noticed it says that up here, check it identified, no issues. You have 17 unapplied migrations. Your project may not work properly. Run Python manage.py, migrate. So with that, we have yet to actually create, let's see here, create your routes. We created one route where all posts. Now let's create another route with information about a post with a specific ID number. All right, before we do that, before we create our actually models, let's go ahead and create this next route. So here's our next route. And it should go to So initially it goes to posts, then it comes into here. What do we want to be in this specific route? Right here. Like /1/2 based off of this. So post information about a post with a specific ID number. How do we add like variable type, like a dynamic like route right here? So if we want this to be an integer, what do we want?
We put in the less than sign,
Well,
and then in quotes. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, in quotes. And then what integer or int,
int.
and then colon, and then however we're going to track it, whatever variable name we're going to pass to it. In this case, post
Alright.
ID.
Cool. So we have posts, and our views will have a detail because it goes to posts / whatever that specific post detail is. And here we'll call it detail. All right. Now we create our URL. Now we have to go into our views and do that. And then we can change it from detail, request, and what is a post ID? These are posts. This is an individual post. I wonder if I can do an F string. This is post with an ID of post ID. All right. Let's see if this works. See if anything shows up. All right. Nothing broke when I ran my server. Coming into here, refresh. If I go to 1, goes, this is a post with an ID of 1, /2, or / like 6. Cool. Says this is a post with an ID of 6. Cool. Does anybody have any questions up until this point?
Did you not have to include any / on that at all when you put the
Like this?
not there? It was in the views.
Oh,
PY, I think, or wherever you needed to put. Yeah, there you didn't have to put any / in your.
nope. It automatically appends a / or prepends a / right here. So in my in my URLs, in my Django project has a / at the end of it. So then when it comes into here, it already has a /.
I mean, just on the end. So
Oh,
right after ID.
like this?
Do you have to have that there?
You don't necessarily have to have it there, but like it shows up there. But if I delete that and go to it, it just like automatically adds it right there. And if I didn't have it, so like if I, right there, uh-oh, what's going on? Not found. I think it's doing it now because, oh. Yeah, it's going to not found right now. So yeah, probably should best practice to put that / there. So now it works. So let's just recap what we did. We created our posts app. We added our post app into our settings, or our posts into our settings under installed apps. We added our Django extensions because we installed that. We added a Postgres database called posts and comments. In our Django project URLs, we added posts, a post URL that includes all the URLs from our post app. So it says include posts. So if I go into posts, URLs, comes up to here. If it just goes to posts / and nothing after that /, it'll come into here. It says, all right, there's nothing after posts. Just so there's nothing after posts, comes into here, looks into views, looks for a method called index, comes into views, looks in for a method called index, says return HTTP response. These are posts. And then likewise with, if I go to here, or if I go with something after it, like a number, goes into URLs, posts, include post URLs, comes into here. If there's anything after it, such as an integer, pass it, whatever is in that URL is equivalent to the post ID. So in this case, it would be like 6. Pass in the 6. Views, looks for a detail method, comes into here, looks for a detail method, pass the post ID from the URL into our method as post ID and returns an HTTP response. This is a post with an ID of, that post ID. All right. So next, where are we at? All right, that looks good. So set up your database. Set up your database with 2 associated models and migrate them into your database. Specifically, I want a post to have a title and a body, and a comment should have a body and belong to a post. All right. So in our models, in our app, we want to create 2 models, comment and post. So we can do class post models.model right here. I'm going to do pass right there, and then class comment models dot model and pass right there. So post should have a title and a body. Title should be, let's go models dot char field. Let's do max length of like 255, and then the body of articles are pretty long usually, so the max length will be larger than that. So I should probably use a text field in that case. Let's just do a max length of 1,000. And now in a comment, it should say a comment should have a body as well. So body equals models dot char field. I'm just going to do max length of 255 for a comment. Could also be a text field if you want, but and then it
What's the difference
says
between those, between the char field and the text field?
so a char field will have, like, it can only go up to 255 characters, and a text field is like something more, a longer form.
Okay, so it's just the length. There's nothing about content or anything.
Correct. And like when it displays on the screen, char fields will show up as like an input tag. It would look like an input tag, and a text field will look like something larger, like it'll be like a text area in HTML.
Gotcha.
And we'll get to that when we get into forms in today's lecture. And here it says a comment should belong to a post. So I'm going to Google. So that is a comment belongs to a post. So there's posts and there should be multiple comments on a post. So one post can have many comments. So that is a one-to-many relationship. One-to-many Django. So similar to this, I can do, so I just want a foreign key of the reporter on this. All right. So instead of reporter, I'm going to do a post, and the model should be post. And I'm going to add a related name. Post should be comments. Because from the post perspective, if I want to grab all the posts, or if I want to grab all the comments associated with a post, I can do like post.comments and grab all the posts or grab all the comments. Uh-oh. Getting an error somewhere. Did I spell something wrong?
Max length without
Thank
the
you.
G.
All right. And I'm just gonna add a dunder string here. And I want to do return f string do ID self.id and title self.title. So every time I want to print out that, I might as well do that. Well, no, I won't do it with comment. All right. So a comment has a foreign key of a post attached to it. So I created my models. Now what's the next step?
We integrate and create that, update our database with those models.
All right, yep. So the first thing I need to do is create a migration script for these models. So I can do, what is it, Python manage.py, make migrations, followed by the name of the app, posts. All right, so created a migration script. If I look up here and under migrations, this 0001 initial migration script was created. Now I can actually migrate that. Python manage.py, migrate posts. All right, all migrations, apply all migrations to the post app, applying posts, this initial app or initial.py file. Great. So now I could go ahead and add some posts and comments to my database by doing Python manage.py shell plus. So since I installed IPython, the shell looks kind of pretty. So I'm going to create a new post. Title goes code platoon, comma body equals. This is Lima Platoon posts body, and then followed by just a bunch of stuff. All right. So it says posts ID is initially none, and the title is called Code Platoon. So I can access I can access this object by just creating a variable p equals underscore. The underscore just grabs the last output from the shell. So I can do p, all right, p.save. Cool. So let's create some more, let's create some comments with that. Comment text equals, this is a comment 1, and I'm going to assign the post up here to equal this post object. And there we go. Oh no, what happened? Oh, did I say text? So it shouldn't be text, it should be body. All right. When I say C1 equals underscore C1 dot save. All right. So I've got one post and I've got one comment. Let's add another comment. Those comments, body. This is a second comment. And the post, let's assign it to the same post as P. And we can do C2.save. All right. So I've got one post and 2 comments in my database right now. So if I want to grab all the posts, I can do post.objects.all. And there's a query set. So I actually just want to grab the first one. There's my post. If I want to grab a comment, I can do comment.objects.first. I just want to grab the first object or first comment. And if I want to grab the post to that first comment, I can do .post. So I grab that post object. I'm sorry, the comment object, and I want to grab that post. So there's that post object. If I want to go the other way, I can do post.objects.first. And now if I want to grab the comments associated with this post, since I used the related name, I can do .comments. And I get that. So that just grabs a reverse like a related descriptor. Now I can just do like a basic Django query off of that. So I should get 2. So I get 2 comments, and I can grab that first comment on that post. I can do first.id, so it should be 1. Or text, not text body. All right, this is comment. This is a comment 1. Oh. All right. Cool. So I've got some stuff in my database. I can clear it. Now what's next?
Hey, Tom, you would do the dunder string method under that second, the comment class, right? If you wanted to see some different data.
Yep. I can come down here. Self ID, self body. Yep, I can just do something exactly like that. So if I go back in the shell plus, do comment.objects.first, there it says comment ID is 1, and the comment, this is a comment 1. So now I'm going to actually run the server again. Still says 17 unapplied migrations. That's okay. Those are the migrations that already come with Django. I don't want to actually apply anything to them. So I'm just going to refresh everything. All right, these are posts. Great. So instead of just using this HTTP response, I actually want to render the posts associated. Like I want a list of posts that come here. So I can, so I've got the render method right here. And I don't want to just use this HTTP response that sends back a string. I want to actually be using HTML. So with that, I can, from my models, import post. And then I can grab all, in my request, I can all posts, just do a basic, not post. Whoop. I can just do a basic Django query, objects.all. I'm just going to print all posts right now. So server kind of restarted. If I refresh this, nothing's happening. But down here, since I'm printing all the posts, it's this single query set of the single post. If I wanted to add more posts, there'd be multiple posts down here. So in here, I want to create a data object. All posts, because when we send a response back, it has to be in an object. All posts. And instead of this HTTP response, I actually want to render the request. And then some HTML. So it would be post.index.html, and then pass in the data. So if I refresh this, oh no, something broke. Post.index.html template does not exist. So again, we went to our URLs, we created our views, but now we have yet to create our templates. So our templates exist in the posts. We need to create a folder called templates, followed by another folder within templates named the same as our app. So posts, and inside of the posts, I'm going to create an index.html, and I'm just going to say h1 hello world. Let's see if this actually renders. So comes into URLs, posts, comes into the apps URLs, goes to the very first /, comes into views index, comes into views index, takes in the requests, grabs all the posts, which returns a query set, which is an array. I'm creating a data object with a keyword called all posts, which assigning it to the all posts, which is an array. Then I'm rendering the request posts index.html, which comes into here, hello world. And I'm also passing in that data, but I'm not actually doing anything with that data yet. So I can come over here and refresh. Uh-oh, what's going on? Template name does not exist. Exit. Whoop. Run server. There we go. There's my hello world. But instead, I don't want just hello world here. I actually want to display something like welcome. This is my blog or something. And then I want to say like I can do some Jinja, which is how to interpolate using, allows us to write essentially Python in line with HTML. So I can say like if posts exist, I can say like what is the end if. This is kind of monotonous and there's no real way to get around it. And if posts exist.
Hey, Tom.
Yep.
You know how earlier I was complaining about VS Code and Jinja and stuff like that? So it turns out there's a Django extension that will colorize the stuff, and then it'll automatically close the brackets for you and all that stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen some people have that enabled. I haven't enabled it yet. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep moving forward. Sure. But yeah, send out a link for that Django extension. What is it?
It's actually just called Django, and then you have to add like a couple lines to your settings, which it has. You just paste it.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. So it says if there's posts, render h2 posts, and then inside of there it says for posts in all posts. So if all posts, because this is actually what's being passed in from my views as data. So if there's all posts exists, I'm going to do a closing. And then I'm just going to, well, H5. For post, in posts, or so it says for post in all posts, render the post title as an H5 tag. If, and then else, can I just do like a, so if there aren't any posts, else, just say like paragraph, there are no posts. See if this works. Welcome, this is my blog. This is my blog. We have posts and code platoon. There's a post. And then I also want to add maybe a link to it. So to actually view the post, view post. And I can add a link, href equals, what is it? There we go. And I can do, what is it? Is it / post ID? .id? Is that how it works?
Without the /
Out the / Let's refresh this. All right, there's this post with an ID of 1. I can press back. All right, so I've only got one post in there, so cool. This looks really ugly right now. So what I'm gonna do, because like when we were learning HTML, we learned it like HTML and you add some boilerplate and we can add JavaScript or Bootstrap. So I'm gonna actually import Bootstrap. And so I'm just gonna do some copy and pasting. So this was literally just copied from Bootstrap 4. I literally just copied this into here and then just said pretty much the same thing. This is my blog. If post right here. For post in, this should be all posts. All posts. All posts. I'm going to delete that for right now, or we're going to want to do a named route, but post.id. Let's see what this looks like now. Hopefully it worked. If I go back, if I refresh, okay, it says this is my post, view post. Cool. Does anybody have any questions about what I just did with the index.html file? Nope. So let's kind of repeat the process. Come back to URLs. We did the URLs, goes into views, detail. Great. But now instead of just doing an HTTP response, we'll want to grab a specific post by their ID. So we can do individual post, like post equals post.objects.get primary key equals post ID. Or I think we can even just do, let's just do primary key. I think this might work as well. So we can create a data object, post. Then instead of using the HTTP response library, I can actually delete it. I just want to render the request followed by posts.detail.html because this is going to be a individual post detail followed by the data. I can actually delete this HTTP response. Now I can go into my templates and create a detail.html. Then in here, I can add pretty much the same thing. Just say like H1 post dot title, add post dot body, and then so I've got the post object, but now how do I grab all the comments associated with that post?
The post.comments.
Yep. So if you look in my models, if I have an individual post, I can grab all the related comments by doing dot comments. So I can do like if post dot comments dot all, or does it work with just post dot comments? Should do end that if statement and if I can do then grab each comment for comment in post dot comments dot all. I'm going to do an N4. N4. I can do just do a paragraph and then comment dot body. See if this works. So if I refresh, come into here. There we go. This is Lima Platoon post body, blah blah blah. This is a second comment. This is comment 1. Now again, this looks like crap. So again, I'm just gonna use Bootstrap to kind of pretty it up. I'm gonna have to make some edits. Comments. So if I didn't have in my models this related name, I can access the comments from a post by doing this comment underscore set. But since I do have a related name, I can do just comments. So if I refresh it, oh no, blog. What does it say? Blog. Comment. Blog index. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Refresh. Here we go. So it's not still showing. So it's comment.body. There we go. So if I go back, here's my blog, view a post. Here's the title. Here's the body. I used a Bootstrap Jumbotron with some alerts, and I converted, like, I used this characters creates a heart. All right. But I want to create a back button here. Whoop. And in my index page, it's not very scalable to hard code the post ID. So I want to use a named route. So in order to create a named route, I need to go into my URLs, type app underscore name equals posts, just the name of the app, and come into here. It says, in my URL file, look for the post app that is named detail and also pass in the post ID. So when I click on that route, it knows, all right, go to posts, There's URL here, comes into here, view detail page, and it's going to also pass that post ID in there. See if this works. If I back out, posts detail could not parse the remainder.
Yeah, in your thing, and I was about to ask it too, because when you did your URL post colon detail post ID, you had it within double brackets, and I had it within single set of brackets, but with the percentage signs in the middle. So right there, you have a bracket.
Yep. Thank you. So percentage sign. Let's see if that fixed it. So now I can go here, but now I also want to have a back button to go back to view it. So in my details page, I want to do the same thing underneath the endif. So href, going to URL, it'd be posts. Look for the index. I don't need to pass anything to index, and to go back button. Posts, go back. So let's just recap what we did. We created a Django app, or a Django project. We created an app called Posts. We added our posts to our installed app. We created a Postgres database. We added a Postgres database to our database settings with the name, posts, and comments. In our URLs, we want to go to /posts. Once it comes into the Django project URLs, if it matches a pattern that says posts, it goes to the post.urls app, which is right here, comes over here. If it just goes to the, finds a / and nothing after it, it goes into our views, looks for a method called index, comes into our views, finds a method called index, and our index takes in the request, creates a variable called all posts, which grabs all the posts from the database by running the query command post.objects.all, creates a data object with an all posts where we're passing in an array of all our posts objects, and then we're rendering the request, followed by post indexed HTML template, and we're passing that data in, and we're coming into the index now, the template comes in here. If there's all posts, then render posts, then it loops through just like a normal for loop for post and all posts, render this right here, which displays the post title, and it also has a link, a view post. So if I click this post, this view post goes in the URLs, look for post, a route that matches this post detail, comes into here, post detail, passes in that post ID in there, and then goes in the detail page, or detail, looks for a method detail and views, comes into the views, comes in the detail method, passes in that post ID, gets an individual post by doing post.objects.get ID equals post ID, passes that, or creates an object of that, and then it renders a post detail template, passing in that data, comes in the detail to HTML, and then it just goes through the same thing. Renders the post title, post body. If there's comments, if there's comments, goes right here for comment in post comment.all. It loops through it and renders the comment body. If there aren't any, come here. Display there's no comments. Does anybody have any questions? Let's stop the recording.